This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
Warning! The following podcast contains adult language, adult content, weird and unusual stories that all happen to be true. We didn't start this war on safety, but we're going to fight that safety war and we're going to win it. So here we are, our conclusion to Disaster Preparedness Month, National Disaster Preparedness Month. I might do this as a standalone video. So a couple years ago, I came out with this book, and I know it's probably reversed, Nuclear Terrorism, A Family Response Guide. This one was written originally in 2008, right, and published a couple of years later. So, in the conclusion part of this, I went into a whole bunch of stuff that I think that we're facing today. All right, and now let me read some sections here. It is likely that the contents of this book will cause mixed feelings, ranging from denial and disillusionment to, hopefully, empowerment. I hope that I have inspired empowerment, not only in disaster management, but in all aspects of your own life. Past few years have been rough on this nation. Again, this was written in 2008. We have faced economic problems, disillusionment with the political situation, politicians and political parties, and the rise of radical groups and other challenges. Insights that were once called conspiracy theories have now been found to be facts and mainstream because of researchers and government whistleblowers. Going on, I'm not going to share the rest here because it's really not germane here. But basically, is society to blame or are we to blame? I can't worry about what the politicians are going to do, what my emergency planners are going to do, what my company is going to do. I own the company, but when I work for a company, you can't worry about what your company is going to do. What you have to have is a mindset of, what am I going to do? The people who I am able to influence, people like my wife, my extended family, my immediate family. I can influence those folks. I can go out and be a preparedness expert, become that point person in my group of people. I can do something about that. You could do something like that. We're going to talk about leadership and things in the future on this YouTube channel and podcast. But it's all about what you could do, empowering yourself within your own capabilities. Reaching out, maybe having a small group or community out there that you could reach, that you could pool resources, that you could support each other. Whether it's a church, synagogue, mosque, other community group, inside of government, outside of government, right? But I think, especially now, over the last 19 months or so we're going on, maybe a little longer, depending on how you want to count, how are we treating each other? How are we working together as a community? How are we going to help the other person? These are all the things that we strive to do here on Safety Wars. Let's try to inspire people. Safety FM does the same thing too. We have 17, 18, 19 podcasts. I don't know, it keeps growing all the time. We're out here, we're trying to help people. We want to help you. We want to go out there and try to inspire you. We want to go out there and try to get the community together, talk about things. Disaster preparedness, you can't, don't expect 1 second I'm going to be doing disaster preparedness and I'm going to be completely prepared. Guess what? It's an ongoing process. What I always say to people is this. And most people are of limited means. There are other priorities like a mortgage, healthcare, childcare, everything else that comes up in life. You putting a roof over your own head. All this stuff is a high priority, obviously. But try to pick one or two things a year so that you try to, okay, well, look, these are our priorities. Hey, this year, we're going to make sure we all get first aid CPR training because they may offer it at our church or community group or something like that. Let's go as a family or as a group, let's get first aid CPR training. It could be you and you may know somebody. Hey, you know what? Can we do first aid CPR training? Most trainers will do stuff at cost if it's for a small group of friends or something. Because like what I had to deal with on March 31st, along with my brother-in-law, Donald, we had to deal with a real bad situation where we needed first aid CPR training. All right, you don't know when that's going to hit. If you're a head of household, you're in charge of getting food. Usually it's only one person in a household, in my experience, getting food, right? Running to the supermarket, get an extra can of beans. Get an extra whatever, canned item. We're going to have, in a month, we're going to buy enough water for a month, right? Bottled water. And guess what? Then because that's something we normally buy. You buy stuff that you normally buy, except a little bit more where you can put aside. Plan things out ahead of time. Doesn't have to be a huge cost. Try one or two things a year. We know one family that decided to get off the grid down in Texas. And guess what? It was an ongoing process, 4 or 5 years. Well, this year we're going to be self-sufficient on food. So they were able to set up a little bit of a co-op. They were able to buy acreage one year. Then the next year they were able to set up a small co-op informally with friends where everybody came and grew food together. They set up a little farm. Then the next year, we're going to work on our power system where we're going to be off the grid. The next year, off the grid, right? And then along with that, right, along with food, canning, and they set up a solar powered system, got energy efficient appliances. We're able to address that. Little steps year by year. And so even the fact that you're thinking about it, you're going to be in a better situation. So visit us back here at safetywars.com, at Jim Polzel's Safety Wars, and on Safety FM on the network. And also we have our podcast, Safety Wars. Right, visit us back there. We're going to, because it's the end of Disaster Preparedness Month, this conversation is going to go on and on and on. And if there's any special topics you want me to talk about, please go and send me on over a email at jim@safetywars.com. You can go over to our website, send it through there also. And I hope we don't have to actually ever have to use any of this stuff, but at least we'll be prepared for it. For Safety Wars, this is Jim Polzel.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.